Hey everybody, we're live. um, we are. Let me. I'm still figuring out this technology, so if I'm doing something wrong, let me know. I believe I can see your comments in real time as they happen. So let me know. You can post comments there, and I will do my best to answer any questions you have or anything like that. As I'm talking here, I'm pulling up what I believe to be the page where I can view comments. So give me 1 second here, and then we'll get going. Here we are. I see it's live. Okay. So we're going to do our best here, and we'll learn as we go. But thanks everybody for coming. This is a presentation that really is, I don't know, 20 years in the making. many real world hard knocks types of situations that I've been in that have led me to this very simple 10 tips to rescue your SEO after a redesign. There's this scenario that I've seen many times. I have experienced it a number of times in my own work over the last 20 years, but also we get lots of people coming to us asking, hey, we just had our website redesigned and now nobody's finding us, or nobody's filling out our contact form, or our Google SEO is totally broken or not working. We're no longer being found. We used to get a lot of traffic. Now we get no traffic. That sort of scenario. And so it's a very common scenario in my world as somebody who addresses and fixes website issues and who also is an SEO person and specializes and sells SEO services. So I want to share with you my top 10 tips and tricks. We'll just call them tips. Top 10 tips to rescue your SEO. Let me add it to the stage here. Okay, here we go. Let's go. First of all, I just want to say we've all been there. You just invested weeks, months, years, maybe redesigning, rebuilding your website, adding content, writing content. Some of these website projects are really big, some are not so big, but we've all been there at launch. And I mean, people in my position have all seen sites that have just failed to consider some of the SEO implications of that work. And so I'm going to help you if you're there, or if you're considering a redesign. We're going to get you beyond that. So let's say you just launched a website and you just redesigned it. How do you know if something's wrong? A lot of times there's like a lagging indicator, which is you notice like leads aren't as prevalent as they once were just a few weeks ago or months ago. Oftentimes people come to us with that scenario and they're like, hey, we had our website redesigned by this company and now we have no leads. So first step is to identify the damage. One thing I like to do in cases like that is I go to Google and I type site : and then the website.com. In my, this example, site : themightymo.com, but you would replace the Mighty Mo with whatever your site is. And that'll just give you very high level. There have been times when I do that and nothing shows up here. And that's because they've effectively de-indexed the site as part of their redesign. I've never seen a situation where that was intentional. So this was step one. We're going to identify the damage. Just going to Google and typing this is one way, just like tip of the iceberg way. Another way is go to Google Search Console. This is a free tool that Google offers. And what you're looking for, you're going to look through their charts. They have lots of charts and things like that. What you're looking for is trends. And like, let's say we launched, you're looking, looks good. And then the date of the launch, you see traffic drop. That's a problem. And that's kind of what this presentation is about. I'm going to help you solve that problem. Another way to figure out within Google Search Console, if you click on pages, they'll show you pages that are not indexed. And so sometimes it's okay to have thousands. This is actually the Mighty Mo's backend, and we have thousands of URLs that we do not want indexed. Some of these are legit URLs that are like category pages and images and stuff like that. But others are like just random things that Google logs as potential URLs that don't actually exist. And so sometimes it's okay to have a high number here, but also sometimes you can click on this and go into it and you can see like you can just look at it and say, oh yeah, this looks right. Or wow, this page should totally be indexed, in which case you can click on it within the Google Search Console. You can click on it and request a reindexing. It's pretty straightforward, simple process, but you do have to go there and click it. And by the way, we'll get into this in a bit. If it's not showing up here, there are probably other reasons why it's not showing up, and you'll want to correct those, and we'll get to that in a bit. Another tool to figure out if your redesign broke a bunch of stuff for your SEO is use this tool. It's called Screaming Frog. They have a free version and then a paid version, and I think the free version lets you search, like, let's say 500 URLs or something like that. There's some limit, whereas if you pay for it, you can get unlimited. And so this is a great tool just to get a sense for, like, did we break a bunch of stuff or is it looking pretty good? And you can do before and after type of things. And always a good idea to do before and after with these tools, just so you can get a sense for what specifically the redesign broke. Step number 2, fix broken URLs. Almost inevitably, no matter how much due diligence you put into this, you're going to have URLs that are rewritten or broken during the process of redesigning your site. You're going to create URLs, you're going to change URLs. The main cause of this is when you change a URL slug, because Google will treat the new page or the new URL slug as a new page, which I consider as a broken link, because that's not, you're hurting yourself that way. And so what you want to do is create what's called a 301 redirect. And you've probably heard that term. If you're using WordPress, it's very straightforward to do that with any of the SEO plugins, such as Yoast or Rank Math. If you're using other tools, there's always a way. I shouldn't say always, because I don't know about some of the, like, Wix and hosted platforms, but almost, I could almost bet you they have a way to do redirects, and specifically 301 redirects. And so if you have an existing page and you're going to change the URL, create that redirect. Otherwise, you're going to hurt your SEO. Step 3, let's make sure your site isn't blocking Google. So you remember in step 1, that first thing we did was like, hey, site:/themightymo.com. If you're showing very few results there, you probably are blocking Google altogether, or blocking search engines. In WordPress, this is an example. In WordPress, they actually have a checkbox that you can check to say, hey, I don't want to be in Google. And what'll happen is, a lot of times, as the team is building the site and designing it, they'll check that box because they don't want this in progress site to be indexed. They'll launch the site and they just forgot to uncheck the box. So if you're seeing that, and if you're not showing up in Google and you have WordPress, check for that box. It's under settings reading. And also, let's say you're not using WordPress, you can also resubmit your sitemap to Google via Google Search Console. It's a pretty straightforward process. They actually have a link in the left. It's one of the main links. It says sitemap, and then you can add your sitemap there. And if you're confused about what is the sitemap, where do I find it, because you're going to have to grab the URL, just talk to your web developer. They should be able to find that for you. Step number 4 to fix your SEO after a redesign. Review and resubmit your XML sitemap to Google Search Console. So I called this out as a special big headline, because even if you think nothing's broken, if you've invested a lot of time, you've probably looked at your sitemap as part of your redesign. At least you've looked at your page structure. Just resubmit that sitemap, no matter what. I always recommend people do that, and then you can kind of move forward from there. Step number 5, remove junk pages from Google search results. You can do this in Google Search Console, and you'll be surprised. Again, like, sometimes when a dev team is building a site, they'll have, like, test pages and dummy pages and content that's, like, not finished, or duplicate content that they were working on. And you'll want to, if those end up making it into Google, you'll just want to remove them here. First, you'll make sure they're not in your sitemap, and then you'll remove them here. And so that's pretty straightforward. But again, you kind of have to look for them to see if you have any. Step number 6, find and fix 301 redirects, infinite redirect loops, and 404 errors. Now, you'll know sometimes when you switch from an old site to a new site, you'll delete content, you'll add content. 301 redirects is just one type of redirect, but you can sometimes in a redesign, you'll either forget to add those or you'll forget to fix them. So I call that out as a special thing. There's a WordPress plugin that can help you with some of this. It's called Better Search Replace. If you wanted to replace a bunch of URLs in bulk, like let's say, for example, you have a page that's /support and you wanted to change it to /get support. You would want to use a tool like Better Search and Replace to go in and you'd say replace all the old URL with the new one, and there might be hundreds of those in your site, and so that tool would take care of that. Similarly, most SEO tools generally include a broken link checker, Ahrefs, SEMrush. There's lots of these tools, and some of like the WordPress plugins have that built in as well. So I have, here's one specifically, broken link checker. But again, there are lots. I always recommend to use more than one testing tool for this sort of thing, 'cause sometimes they pull up different results. Step number 7, you've launched your site. You've gone through all those first steps, 6 steps. Let's make sure what's showing up in Google is the stuff we want to show up, just like this. This is called SEO meta. So SEO meta title, SEO meta description. That's really what we're saying here. And this is when you go to Google, maybe you're typing WordPress support Minneapolis, and my listing comes up. Is this the text that I want to display in Google? This is called meta tags. There's this detailed Chrome extension that'll let you very easily, you go to a site and it gives you all the meta details. You can also, in that first step that we talked about way back, if you go to site:/yoursite.com and go to google.com and type that, you can see a bunch of pages and how they look. And you can kind of get a sense. A lot of times your whole site will be messed up. And if that's the case, usually it's like you have to just log in and change 1 or 2 things. But you should also look at, especially your high value pages, like your homepage, maybe your about. If you sell products, what are your most valuable products, that sort of thing. I would definitely check those. And then let's go to the next thing. Step 8. Hey, everything's looking good. You're in Google. Maybe you're even ranking now. It's time to speed up your brand new, really, really, really slow site. This is so common. You invest a bunch of time and money designing, developing, and you launch, and the site is really, really, really slow. This is very common. I'll tell you why. It's because the speed is rarely something that's talked about until after launch. And usually the stakeholders don't value speed very highly during the design process. And so, the developers oftentimes won't even talk about it. They kind of they'll shrink back and pretend like they don't know that it's slow. Good news is you can fix a lot of the slowness. Bad news is if it's built slow, it's going to be hard to really speed it up. But here's what you can do. So usually a slow site is caused by bloated page builders. There can be other causes, like your hosting can have a huge impact on page speed. I can't tell you how many hosting clients we get. They say my page is slow, and we do some A/B tests, and we're like, yeah, you're on GoDaddy or this really cheap host that is really slow. And so sometimes you can squeeze a lot more juice out just by switching to a more optimized host. Usually that costs a little more, but media, a lot of times people will upload videos or images that are really large or uncompressed and that sort of thing. And so oftentimes there are tools that we can use, like in WordPress. One of the reasons I love WordPress for this is that we have a few tools in our tool belt that we can run scripts on your site and really like optimize all the images, optimize a lot of the scripts and pages and that sort of thing. There's also like things like lazy loading that can, help your sites load a little faster. And with WordPress, you actually have a lot of options that are available for free and some are paid. But the bottom line is it's definitely something to consider because Google has indicated very clearly that page speed on mobile devices is one of their ranking factors. Speaking of which, Google provides a tool to help you figure out how fast or how slow your site is. And in that tool, it's called Google Page Speed. You've probably heard of it. Only look at the mobile metric. A lot of kind of shady shops will tell you to, hey, look, we increased your speed to 100, and you'll realize you're looking at the desktop metric, which you can almost always pump up to 100, but the mobile metric is the hard one. And so you'll definitely want to pay attention to that. And the other thing I like to say too, like a lot of these free and paid plugins provide some quick wins, but if you're sitting at like a slow speed, you probably are going to need to invest some money to make it fast. And similarly, like if you were building this first with speed in mind from the beginning, it would be a more expensive project because you would have to write more custom code. And so there's no way around this. You have to invest to make your sites faster. Something that's almost always forgotten, not always, but we try to put it front and center in our conversations about web design. But how about conversions? The website is just one of your marketing tools to create leads, which lead to sales. And not only that, it's for a lot of businesses, it's the primary place that you make your money, at least to generate high quality leads. I always think you're never going to get it right when you launch, even no matter how much time you spend, you launch your site and then you get it out there in the wild, and these humans, they just don't behave how I expected they'd be behaving. And so I always encourage our clients, after we launch, let's revisit it in a month, because once people from outside the company or customers view it, you're going to have a lot different perspective on what's lacking, what's needed. We'll also have data in terms of like how many conversions do we have, how many forms submitted. One thing I like to push our clients to consider up front is when we're drafting the content and writing content and choosing images, is what is the story we're going to tell? What does the sales funnel look like for people who are on the page? For example, I was collaborating with one of our clients is a nonprofit, and we were conversing this morning, and they were saying, hey, we'd like an About Us button really high at the top of our page. And I said, okay, that's fine, but like, if you consider your site as one stage of the sales process, the people who are going to donate to you they're going to start somewhere and hopefully end on the donation page and hopefully submit that. And so what's the clearest path to that? And through our conversation this morning, we realized that people already know a lot about this organization. That's just a fact. And through our conversation, I was like, what are people ready to donate when they land on the site? And they were like, yeah, they are. And so rather than do about or learn more, we said, let's just put this donate now button front and center, because we think that in conversation, it turned out like that's what people are looking for. And in addition to that, it's a big bright button that kind of uses one of the brand colors, but it kind of conflicts with the rest. And that's a design philosophy of mine, is like, you have your call to action, you need to draw the eye there. And so I always, at least consider that as a design option. I could talk all day about conversions and all this, but the main thing I think of, like, and this is like the high level question that I like to ask everybody pretty much at any stage in the process when we're designing or talking about website stuff, is are the CTAs on the page consistent with the search intent? So the idea is like, is what's on the page helping people buy the product, or is it helping them donate to you? Like, is it getting them there? If it's not, then let's rethink it. That's it. That's this presentation. 10 tips that you could have probably done at least a few of them during this presentation. That's like the power of this, is that a lot of these things are not super complex. It's just that you need to know where to click, know where to go. I'm available as a resource. I'm here on LinkedIn. You can email me. Also, if you want a copy of this presentation or the links in it, just send me a message and I'll get that to you. You can send it on LinkedIn or email or whatever. Also available if you just want, if you have you're thinking about a redesign, something like that, you're worried about losing SEO value, or you think you might have lost SEO value, give me a call, email me. Thanks everybody. I'll also continue this conversation over on the social medias, on the videos. So if you leave a comment in any of those, I'll get to that. Hope you all have a great rest of the day. Thanks for joining me.